Hi guys, how do I know that we are locked in for Geula Barachamim, for redemption, salvation with mercy? The download hit me last Thursday when I was giving my Kabbalah class, and it just dropped in, and it went like this. There are a few ways that redemption, salvation, Yemos HaMashiach, going from 3D to 5D, there's so many ways to say it, but there are a few ways that could have come in. It could have come in harshly, cataclysmically. It could have come in with the most collateral damage possible, with death and destruction all over the place. And yet we are seeing that we are going about our normal lives as the shift is happening. And for the most part, it is merciful. It is compassionate. It is probably one of the highest timelines that we have invoked on the planet to make the shift. And I started thinking, how is this possible? And what hit me during my class was that for once on the planet, what's the difference? What's the great difference? For once on the planet, good became organized. Good became organized. And we know historically, evil has always been organized, always been methodical, always been strategic, always been planning, behind the scenes planning. They plot and they plan and they get together and they have Davos meetings and they have mock pandemic trials and they gather at Wannsee in Germany years ago. They know how to be organized. And we say in Avinu Malkeinu, in the prayer on Rosh Hashanah that Jewish people are familiar with, we say, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, Hafer Atzas Avenu, Batel Machshavos Sonenu. We have many different prayers that invoke God to break the plotting, to foil the plans, to nullify all of this plotting and planning that's going on from the dark side, because they get together and they plot and they plan and they're very strategic, very methodical. And for once, good is more methodical, more strategic, more planned out than evil. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Q team. For people who haven't heard about the Q team is a small group of military that got together probably right after the death of Kennedy and hatched a plan, a really organized plan, a systemic, slow, decades-long plan. They're very patient to take out the evil, to pick them off one by one, slowly. What they did was they gathered the evidence collected by the satellites, the NSA satellites, of the evildoers doing their evil things all over the world, the avodas molech, the trafficking, the pedophilia. They caught them on video. And then in 2017, Trump went around country to country. Remember the tour, the world tour that he took? He was showing them the evidence and getting them to capitulate, giving them a chance for teshuvah, to repent, which is what we're doing. We're trying to gather back as much holiness to the side of the light as we can from the dark side. He gave each one of them a chance. Anyway, how do I know that we are locked in for Geula Barachamim, for redemption through mercy? Because until now, God would look down and see how he could bring his plan to life. What options did he have on planet Earth? And there was always the option to bring his plan to fruition through the machinations of evil. We see a perfect example of this with the State of Israel. When the State of Israel was brought into being in 1948, through evil, the Zionists were evil. They were godless. And God used that plan to have the Jewish people return to their homeland, the divine overlay over the plans of evil. However, this time around, God does not have to twist and contort his plans, make them fit in with what evil has in the works. This time, God doesn't have to work wonders under the cover of darkness. God can work wonders under the cover of light, because there's a plan, the Q plan to save the world, which we see unfolding before us every day. Nasera and Gesera is happening. The great transference of wealth is underway. Everything, every promise that God made in the Bible for abundance, for goodness, is locked and loaded and ready to go, because it matches up seamlessly with the Q plan, with the White Hat Alliance, the military alliance, who Trump is the face of, the poster child, the man who put himself between us and the primordial enemy of mankind. So now I know we are locked and loaded for Geula Barachman, because God can look down and see the White Hat plan, the Q plan to save the world, and just seamlessly fit his plan in with that. And it makes it less volatile. It makes it less destructive. A lot less collateral damage. And we know that it has been the generations of kindness and goodness and the good-hearted people in humanity and the holy rabbis and the light workers of humanity that got us to this critical mass that made us worthy of a plan called the Q plan to emerge on the planet. We reached a spiritual threshold that made us merit a boots on the ground, a kavutze mata, a boots on the ground effort for the light. And it leaves me always very optimistic. I hardly pay attention to the headlines anymore, because I know in my bones and in my soul that God is using the Q plan, the White Hat military plan, to bring redemption in the highest timeline possible. The infrastructure is already there. Have a great day.